Good morning, traders. Welcome to Trade Setup in the live stream for the, was it 10th of November? I hope we're all doing well. A bit of action to chat about today. Major sell-off yesterday during the day session, and then a major correction overnight during the US and European session. So we'll have a bit of a chat about that. Obviously, go through a few things, and just I think what I try to focus on today, what I'd like to focus on is just the psychology of it all, and during your trading, and different things to look at and different things to attack. And I'll give you an example of what I was looking at yesterday when I'm trading the SPY, and just how I have little problems with different things, and just how I sort of try to combat that, and how I've probably got better over time on combating my own mental issues. But what obviously, just to kick off, um, what we could do is, obviously, if you've got any charts, if there's anything from yesterday, trades or anything like that that you just want to have a quick look at, obviously send it into support@tradesetup.com.au, and either that, or just put the code into chat, or just put the question into chat, the chat function we have going there. So yeah, I think a lot of things to talk about. It'd be interesting to see how we go today. Um, anyway, let's get into it. Just quickly check my email. Any questions just to kick it off with, guys? Anything we might be looking at? Alright, just getting rid of that. It's the market. Oh, absolute massive bounce today. Up 156 on the XJO at the moment, so really, really big move. Really big move. Yeah, so I'm just sorry, seeing a few beeping things going off. So, yeah, massive move today, and it's a massive correction. So, we see, I think, on the XJO we touched down at 50.50, and now we're not far off 300 points off the lows of yesterday, which is just um, you could view that as just phenomenal. So, no, that's interesting. We have pretty much, I'd say, a lot of funds would have had a bit of problem. You see a lot of people getting margined out yesterday with that severe sell-off. As the votes were counted, you can see that it was slowly starting to tip off, and then it just accelerated. I think once we hit sort of Florida, I think it's the Florida voting, and Trump potentially taking Florida seat, then yeah, things just got out of hand, and I think really, really tipped over. So, big sell-off yesterday, big sell-off, and we did bounce into the close, bounced quite a bit. I think I'm not sure exactly where we finished, but actually, let's just get it up. So we go to intraday. Let's go to that there. That's the 30-minute chart. So what did we close? 51.56. So up 100 points from those lows of 50.50, and then today we just opened up and gone boom, 150 points. So that's amazing. I think it's a lot to do with psychology. It would have been a lot of people, like I said, there'd be a lot of funds that would be, I'd say, reeling a bit. Having a few issues. Obviously, the big sell-off yesterday, and then when they got caught with the opposite way with a big correction from overnight. Yeah, so they may have to just ease out of positions yesterday, and then maybe straight back in. I don't know, rebalancing the books, whatever they got to do. But yeah, a bit of turnaround, I'd say, and a lot of people, a lot of portfolios would have been margined out yesterday with that big push lower, and then I guess people are just looking to jump straight back in today. It looks like that's what the case is. Yeah, it looks like I don't know if anyone's got any other comments, anything they think, but I think just reading this morning on the Trump, obviously a lot of the way he went about it was very negative, but maybe there's obviously a bit of thought behind it, a bit of and an approach for them. Obviously, that's the way what they felt they had to do. All the attacking everyone, every different area. It seems what he did. That's what he had to do to get in, and it'd be interesting to see how he goes from here. But I think there's obviously you know a lot more than what we thought. A lot of people taking it as a positive for the economy, and maybe just sick of the old guard, the old traditional, and what they've been through the last few years. People just getting a bit sick of it, and he pretty much played on the emotions, and that's kicked in. A lot more people obviously voted than what we thought, and a lot of people viewing it as a potential positive for the economy. Maybe last night that's what we saw with that reaction back up. So it was interesting. Every time there was something, a potential for him winning over the last few days, there's a massive market sell-off. He won, massive market sell-off, and then bang, bounced straight back overnight. So yeah, very interesting times. I think the market's been played a bit sometimes. Obviously, the volatility in the market, people just go with the flow and just, it gets hammered, and then as soon as it turns around, there's all the bargain hunting. Bang, it gets hammered the other way. So, right, let's take a look at any questions there, guys. Anything that people just want to have a quick look at it while we're on the topic. Let's get at some charts of the actual price action. Yeah, so this is obviously the CFD, but pretty much the same, 50-50, straight back down. So we had that big sell-off yesterday, and this is where we started from, up towards that 5,300, say, give or take, and then closed early as this morning above that, 53.28, up at that zone there, right up at resistance. Now we're just up on that at the moment, sort of headbutting that at the moment. If we go back, but it's not a overly key level. It's just really just a level. If we go back a bit more, yeah, we've got another level up here, say the 54.60 mark, which we may find a bit of resistance at. But really, let's just back it out to 4 hourly. I think there's so much action in the market, my charts are struggling a bit. So we've got some major levels. There's a major level right up here at 55.10. We're a long way off at that at the moment, but there's no reason why it can't sort of rebound a lot of that. So we've essentially, what we're looking at now, I'll just get a few colours, draw some pretty pictures up here. That's the leg down. Actually, don't be surprised. Look at that. So I don't know if anyone, what I like to do a lot is just see the action from high to low. We bounce back up, we know that's a major lower high there, and then just project that leg down, which pretty much coincided exactly, if you can see that, from high to low, a reaction. We found a reaction off this support here at 51.50. Reaction, market's pushed up, made a major lower high, which we saw play out a while ago, and the market touched down at 50.50, which just happened to coincide with the exact same projection of that leg down. So that actually, we could get a bit of reaction. We don't know if it's going to be something like this. We're going to work our way back up. But what we have seen is the market has pushed up quite a bit already, and we have reacted quite strongly off 50.50 and bounced straight back up. So it'll be interesting to see if we actually do. I know there's Fibonacci levels, there's all sorts of levels, but what I like to do as a general rule of thumb, from that high to that low, a 1/3 to 2/3 correction, which would, I guess, take it 5,500 to 50.50. So 450 points, split it up into thirds, and you've got somewhere around 51.75, I'll give or take, I guess, up to sort of this level 54, thereabouts, and it's reaching up there. We're at that 53.28 at the moment. But yeah, I think that potentially could roll over from here. We don't know what's going to happen, but what we've seen is just a severe reaction. We got any questions on that, guys? So I think that leg down, we don't know what's going to happen, but it just happened to be technically everything, even in times of crisis. The psychology behind it, markets can get hammered. They got nailed yesterday. There's no doubt about it, but it's really still holding structural levels, and I guess that's the hardest thing to do when you're seeing these sell-offs. Is just keep in mind that things are still generally holding levels. And I think there's a lot to be said. It's the hardest thing to do is just remember that, keep that in the back of your mind, and try to keep a level head, I guess. And I'll give you some examples of what I was looking at yesterday, and just had to talk myself out of it. Because there's a lot of things, when things get oversold, well, not oversold as such, but when they're going down the down hard, you tend to look at them as oversold. Look at it as a great opportunity. Everything kicks in. You sort of you tend to. It's easiest to break your rules when things go crazy like that. But if you just got to keep in the back of your head that don't break your rules, because things markets still hold structure. They still trade structurally nice. They still hold trend. Your MAs, I follow my MAs a lot. I try to keep on the right side. So yesterday should have just been only looking at short positions, but still just trying to keep that in play in your head, saying, well, I just got to go with the flow. And what we'll do in a second, we'll mark up, especially on the SPY 200, the futures. I'll mark up a few, show what I was looking at yesterday. I did miss a few trades, and what I had to do to stop just my little issues with trading. I guess I tend to look at things, they get stretched. I think there's going to be a bounce, and you try to talk yourself into a trade. But now, just with the experiences coming, just remembering that I am talking myself into a trade that's not, it's not by my rules, and just to stand aside. But if sticking with your rules could have presented some fantastic opportunities, but it's sort of going against your fear as well. It's just trying to battle your emotions sometimes. Well, that's the way I view it anyway. But if let's just go back down to the 30-minute chart. Sorry, I just got to get things a bit slow this morning. Alright, let's just get all these out of the way. So any questions just while we're plugging away there, guys? I'll go through SPY trades that I did yesterday and the ones I tried to keep myself away from. Again, I was just trying to second guess the market at that one stage, and just trying to, whether it's the ego, whether it's whatever it is, it's just, that enticement of trying to make a buck, the greed, trying to say, let's just buy it down here, it's oversold, when the market just kept breaking, structurally just kept breaking down. So I'll show you some trades in a minute, but you can see that move down, that once it started getting hold and it broke through 52.40, I think that's when the news really took hold, and the market just kept crashing through levels. Didn't look back, and then we got to that extension, the 50.50. We sort of mentioned that level, I think, in previous days, that it could come under fire if the market kept selling off. And really, we touched that to a T, which happened to coincide, like we just mentioned, that extension, so that second leg down. So what from here we don't know. Obviously, there's still negativity around the market. I think the bounce of last night, but then again we saw that in Brexit. The UK got absolutely hammered, and then pretty much took off from there and just rallied from there. So we don't know. We just got to really control our emotions and just stick with your trading setups and stick with your plans, and just go from there. Now let's take a look at, just quickly go over the daily. That's the weekly of the XJO. So to me, let's draw this up. I know we have drawn this up in the past, but this is a weekly chart, so I just want to go through it quickly. Alrighty, go there, we'll click there, we'll go there. So we've got obviously a high up at 6,000. Excuse me, that was just the early 2015. Had a big sell-off. We've corrected, okay, so we corrected up, but now what we've done, we've made a major lower high on a weekly basis, but also on a daily basis, made a lower high at 55 and just broken that uptrend. So I know we are bouncing today, and quite savagely, just after a savage move down yesterday. But structurally, this market could easily bounce and hold another high low, say 5300, 5350 up to 54, hold another lower high, and just roll over from there. We don't know what's going to happen, but just keep that in mind when you're structuring your trades, when you're building some positions or anything like that. Just keep that in play. That for me to be more positive on this ASX, I'd want to see really, we've got the base there, just wanting to see that pop up, and build. We've had that push down, and we're actually just rebounding now. I'd want to see either it goes higher and then build that potentially higher low for that push up. So you're building that major higher low on a daily basis. Something, it could be anywhere up here, but I'd like to be, for more positivity in the market, I'd like to see that type of price structure, because at the moment things are just negative. This could easily just roll over. We've got bounce here, could just push up, catch people out. They think it's going to go long, and then boom, straight back through 50-50 down to, and it could any test anywhere down here. We've discussed that yesterday, but just keep that in mind. Just planning ahead of what you can see, but just see, especially times like what we're seeing at the moment. We don't know what's in the pipeline, but this thing could just bounce and go straight up from here, 55. We don't know, but just really keeping a view, having your overall view on the market, a macro view of just and just playing it by ear as we go. The daily, you can see that still once it's break through that 5200 and it's touchdown support at 50-50. Still, it is negative even after a big bounce what we're seeing today. It's holding those highs up there. All right, we're still up 157 points. We've opened up very strong and just holding those highs at the moment. Let's just take a look at what I was discussing yesterday, just previously, on just some psychology of some trades. I'll go through. This is the SPY. So this is a 30-minute chart. So can we all see that? It's all coming through well. All right, take that as a yes. All right. So what I think one of the biggest things in the market, a lot of people, we can learn the technicals of things, we can learn fundamentals, picking your trading, something that suits you, your trading style, but that's very much controllable. But I think the biggest thing in trading, to me anyway, and what I've been really trying to focus on of late, is emotions. It doesn't matter whether the market's volatile or not, emotions always take hold. Even if just trading a couple of days ago, just doing some trades in the SPY, you still, as soon as you're in, you tend to change your mindset. Your head can play games with you, and then emotions can kick in, and you start second guessing things. So that's why it's good to have a clear plan, and that's what prep work. I think prepping up a market, we've discussed this in the past, I think is very, very important. So coming into a trading, before you pull the trigger on anything, just prepping up the market and taking a look at where your levels, where you're expecting some action and reaction, what you're expecting to happen. Because otherwise, if you don't have that marked up, you're really just winging it, in my opinion. Because you know that. Let's just draw this up. Let's just clear the chart of all drawings. So to me, yesterday, this is what we bounced through the Saturday morning. We pushed down here. We've hit a low here on Saturday morning. So I just pretty much take that as a bit of support prior to this move happening, obviously. And then Monday, Tuesday, we bounced up. We're holding higher lows. So you could say we've got a level in here, another high low built in here. Okay, so coming into that market, coming to the yesterday's price action, we've got a few levels and then on the upside, where were we? That was 630. 950 was that bar. So really, that was our high. Okay, so I've marked that up on my half an hour chart, and these levels just flow through to the next chart. So cheers, Paul. Thanks for that. All right. So I've marked up my levels. I've done a bit of prep work. I know what I'm sort of expecting in the trend. If we just pop back an hour to an hourly bar, bit more data. That market's worked its way lower. So that move there. Okay, it's been broken. We've broken out of this through this key level. Okay, we've discussed before, anchors holding down a trend lower, holding it down, holding a trend up. We've got sort of like your swing levels, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it an anchor. Anchored from a move down. As soon as that's broken, I know that I'm expecting something. I don't know what, whether it's going to be contraction, we're going to consolidate for a while and then start to build from move higher. What the market's done from there is just really broken through that and then just worked its way higher. So I've got a bit of context to the action and what I'm expecting. Okay, so if we just go back to the 30-minute chart, just marking some key levels where I expect something to happen. All right, go into a 5-minute chart. So for me, I like to just look at these lower time frame charts and I've got my half an hour levels off there because I think half an hour is quite good for the SPY during the day. Just get some key levels and then going off a 5 minute chart for action reaction as well. So we've got our levels marked up here. You can see from the half an hour chart a major support down at 51.29, 51.30 say. We've got one at 52.25 and then back up to this minor high low here at 52.33. They're two higher lows. And coming into I think that was 9.50. We've just got the high from overnight at 52.78 or say 80. All right. Going into that, I would expect that to get washed out. The market's looking positive. We're expecting a Clinton victory at that stage. You expect a wash out of the highs at the very least, and we did get pushed down. The high lows are held. We've potentially got another high low here, washed out those highs, and then proceeded to move down and touch through these higher lows and just put through, just trade into another one. Now, when you got two levels so close like that, they do tend to wash out the first down and hold the second one as more of a washout than anything else, not breaking, but you can just see that structure still holding. That move down was around that 11.45, and then we got that push up, taken out to making new highs. So at that stage, it was getting a bit choppy because we didn't know what was happening with the, Clinton and Trump. It was started to, but I think by this stage it started to look a bit close. And then you get that rollover. You got that lower high built, so you can see these moves, that move up through there, that wash out of the overnight high wasn't very, it wasn't strong. It's not a strong market, so it's just corrected, pulled back, washed out a few of the long trades, and then just reset itself, pushed back up, attacked the highs again, couldn't get through very far. Only really a few points, 5 to 10 points, and then pretty much dropped from there. So I think this is when the news started kicking, when it started looking like Trump was going to win, not win, but he was starting to. It was getting neck and neck, I think, and voting was getting close, and people were getting a bit concerned because they were expecting a pretty clear victory to Clinton. So what you can see the MAs is what we look at quite a lot as well. They were just really contracting more than anything as you got the choppy movement, and then you got that little minor lower high after we get the wash of the highs, a minor lower high built, and then just really a sell-off, and we started to get, it was quite a strong move, and then you can see once it broke through that 52.25 zone, I think from there that's when the news really kicked in, and that's when we started seeing some heavy selling. So then we had our next level, we're looking towards 51.28, and then obviously didn't expect to get right down there, but the ASX was 50.50, so it was quite a bit further down. So the way I was viewing this, I mean, I still had in the back of my head, and this is where yeah, we'll chat about that in a minute, Paul. I think it's a stroke of genius. We'll chat about that in a minute because I think that's a good point. So just looking at these trades here, the psychology in my head was like, I was still expecting Clinton to come through, just would not expect Trump to win. So I had myself, stupidly enough, looking, and we'll go through this, just looking for shorts. Okay, so that's the price action there, and we've seen that broke. Once it broke through, it's starting to get tentative. You're getting more negativity entering the market. So, and you can see these MAs. What I like to look forward to is that expansion. We're going from contraction, it's washing out both sides of the market, and we're starting to look to get expansion, especially once you get that breakthrough support. The higher lows from overnight, and then that pop up. It's really holding lows, holding the MAs down. You can see that the MAs are starting to expand, that they're starting to drift apart. That's a good sign that things are starting to accelerate to the downside. So this is my psychology, my sort of issue. I see things getting sold down, and I find it hard sometimes to go with the market when it's quite a strong move down, even though. So sometimes for me, I'm looking at that thinking, okay, I could just nab a little long here, buy. I think it's overextended. We're still looking for a Clinton victory, blah, blah, blah. This is all what's playing in my head. Let's just jump in and buy. We'll have a look for a minor, very minor on the 1 minute chart. This is a 1 minute chart, by the way. Look for some of these minor levels of push down, your little minor high or low, but it's just getting really fancy. And for me, it was a bit stupid. And this is what I've got better at lately, is just talking myself back out of it again. Just going, hang on a sec. I know the overall structure is starting to look negative. You've got to break a support, bounce back, a retest, and then we're starting to just break levels, making minor higher, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower highs. The trend's definitely down. You've got MAs spreading. That's what I like to look for. So I should be short. So I'm really going against I'm going against everything I wanted to do with trading and just my setups and everything. So I think for me, it's good. I've sort of become a lot better in just saying, don't be stupid, and just trying to control your emotions a bit better. Because really, without any emotions, you should just be shorting that. Bang! It's obvious. It's clear. You got that push up here, that original push up. Once it's even if it's just breaking that low, if you're just trading very following the trend that way, breaking through the low, having your stop up here, and you could follow that down. You could have really, another minor low here. Let me just see if I can put in some lower high here. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Okay, but we can see another minor low, lower high, lower high. So the trend's really holding. So you had another entry through here. You could have held that there, sold through there with a stop just up here, an exit just up here. So if it just did turn on you, okay, so be it. That's trading. But that produced, that market produced some really good shorts and some really good risk reward off that, and you can see that. But again, like I said, it's just for me. Sometimes it's hard to. I see that price pushing down. I'm expecting to reverse because I think I've got it in the back of my head. I'm a bit late on that move down. I think it's going to run out of steam, but just never. I guess it's just one thing. Don't go against your. Try not to go against and let your emotions control. Just trade what you see. I mean, we've all heard about it before, but sometimes there's days like yesterday. It's hard to do. Very hard to do. But if you just traded what you saw yesterday, that was great price action. So in saying all that, I did step aside. It got to one point where you're thinking about buying it, and then I thought about shorting, and I thought, oh look, just step aside. My mind's not clear at the moment, and sometimes that's the best course of action is just to step aside and reassess it, and not do anything. Sometimes that we've all heard that before, but that is trading too. No trading is actually trading at some stage. So really, for me, that move down, I missed a lot of that. I had a crack at it once, and I actually missed a trade, which okay, that's trading too. And then we got this correction into the close, and if we go back to the 5-minute time frame, that is here, and I saw that into the close, and I saw this little move up. So you got that major move down. We've corrected, and I was expecting some more negativity going to the market. The way it was. I know that's a big washout lower, big push lower, and it really is just a big washout down to support, and it bounced quite hard. And then I saw this process, another acceleration move down on the 5-minute chart, taking out a few of those previous 5-minute lows, and then we started to get in contraction higher. Now that type of price action, when it was a sharp move lower and then a slow move back up, is sort of signaling to me, okay, we're going to be back on the short side. Yeah, I'm just going to show you, Paul. We've got that in just a second. So we can see these are my trades just here. I'll just go through them, but the mindset was stupidly looking for longs, getting a bit angry with myself. Actually missed a short at one stage, and then just okay, stepping aside and expecting a bigger correction, which we got. So once I saw that acceleration down, a little contraction higher, and then so that was that sharp move down, contraction high into the close. And a lot of times on the spine to the close, you just get continuation lower, and you just get it hammer into the close, and then that's it. So I was looking for that type of price action, which we did get. So I started to see this level broke. I saw it broke in here, and I sold a bit early. If we can, it's a bit hard. I had to put my stop a lot further away than what I expected. Okay, so I lost 11 points on that first trade. Just trying to keep it above the high. It only pipped me out by a point or two, I think. Tagged me out, but then I saw it starting to roll over, and that can happen time and time again. It pushes lower, breaks that support. You expect it to go. So a lot of breakout of traders, essentially I was just then looking for that breakout and just bang, push lower, sharp lower, down through that 52.17 support. Down here. Actually, let's just go to. I'm just trying to get a bit more price action. Okay. So analysing it here, this is a 30-second chart, very fast, but you can see I entered it short in here, got a bit, obviously a bit early, trying to preempt that break there. Got stopped out here, still liked it. So once we got up here in that retest, a bit of a wash of that high, after a break of this sort of trend line up, I liked it. So I entered short, had a bit of a retracement on me, and then got that acceleration lower into the close, and I pretty much got lucky and nabbed that 51.10. So for me, that's where I started going. I started to get my mindset a bit better. My price action was building for me and what I like to see, and we did get that slow contraction higher after more of an accelerated move lower. Contraction I expected to roll over, which it did. I got my 19 points, so net I was up for the day. I think only 8 points, but that was still not a bad result. And then we just took off from there. So lucky enough, I got the low of that move down just prior to the close. So you can see, I guess, the psychology behind trading is quite amazing, and I think just trying to combat that sometimes is half the trick. But yeah, just trying to keep yourself focused on price structure more than anything else, not what everyone's saying around you, what the market chatter is, all that sort of stuff. I think it's just, initially I was probably looking at that and trying to preempt it and just trying to outwit myself, which I tend to do a bit, and then but like I said, what I'm getting better at is just pulling myself aside and saying, look, you're going against your trades, you're going against your setup, just leave it alone. So I think it's good. So then later on got this setup. Okay, lost the first trade, got back in, re-entry, and then made it all back plus a bit more. So in the end, a good day. And you can see once we started getting that push back up and that close above that 51.38, I think that was into the close at 4.30. Yeah, it was. Then we started, that was more of a major correction lower, and then we started heading higher from there. And then you can see there's a lot of other good opportunities. A great opportunity through here. Once you got that, the trend, you got your minor risk, push up here. Some really good opportunities if you started just following the trend, sticking to your rules. So I think what we saw after that, I think if I might load more data, yeah, it was some really good opportunities overnight, and you can see that acceleration higher. I think that was overnight as well. Yeah, so you can see there's some good opportunities played out, like we've discussed quite a bit. Higher lows building after major breaks of key levels. Higher low built here, another higher low, nice little entry here. You've got that contraction lower, started to break, pushed up, pulled back, made a higher low in here, then look for an entry potentially through here, and you can see the acceleration up. Again, we got a contraction, just following your rules. In here, nice little break, push up, and then you just follow the trend up that way. Contraction just down here, washed out a few, only in a minor scale, and then somewhere in here you've got a nice little entry, and you get that acceleration higher. So more than enough opportunities overnight going with trend and just sticking to. So I think there would have been a lot of people caught on the reverse. The negativity that the market showed prior during the day, probably that's stuck in the back of their heads, but just following structure and following trend, you had a lot of opportunities overnight. So this is the SPY index, Paul. Sorry, SPI at 200. Sorry, you can see the SPY December futures contract. So that's what I trade a lot during the day. I like to look at. So any questions on that? 5 or 30-minute charts, yeah. That's just, I guess, Paul, just regarding that and looking at that execution. I'll just focus on it. It doesn't take very long. Sometimes that trade took, the loss was only a couple of minutes, and then it was only probably about 5 minutes until it got me into profitable on the next trade. So they're very quick. They are quick time frames, but that's my background. That's what I like. I sort of enjoy doing that as well. And then I've got the longer term, obviously, stuff we do through trade setup, which is, but all the same type of price structure, going off the same price structure. So I guess that was what I was trying to get at with all this sort of stuff. That's it. How do you trade that? Okay, it's like the you can trade CFDs based around that. This is a futures contract, so unless you get futures data, or if you've got a platform that provides futures, you can't trade that particular product, but you can trade pretty much the XJO as a CFD. You can trade the XJO on that, which correlates. It's pretty much point for point on the futures. They're just different pricing, so you can trade them exactly the same. there's enough products around that you can trade the underlying index the same way. So all this is based on is the XJO, the ASX 200. You can't trade the ASX 200 itself, the index, excuse me, but you can trade products of it. You can trade derivatives, you can trade the futures, you can trade the CFDs, all based around the same product. All right, let's quickly look at Telstra and just what we're doing on that. Actually, sorry, I've got a bit carried away. I'm going to have to shoot off in a couple of minutes. Yeah, Telstra, if we just quickly go over that. We were pretty much short, so intraday on Telstra got the big push down, so we're being short from 4.99 in here, got a bit of a bounce, a bit of a push down, and then we got a massive sell off through there into yesterday. So I think one key was with that was with Telstra, sorry, not Telstra, ASX we did. ASX was we had same type of price action if we can get that end of day. So we've had that, we were short from 47.01, excuse me, and we saw that big push down and then it bounced back. So that, you know, price action was still looking pretty good at that stage, but we're back to re-entry and it was a bit of a bugger. But then yesterday you saw that big sell-off. I mean, it's just more opportunistic buy, exit more than anything else. You know, when you see such a big sell-off, it's a bit silly not to take half off and just book it because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if there's going to be a sharp bounce, which we did see overnight. And you really just got to go with the flow. And then for us, it was just, okay, we've backed down here. We're back down near those lows. If we get it pushed down through, you know, 45, 50 or so, we're happy to take half off and just book it, which in hindsight now, it was a good little decision. So, yeah, looking at Telstra's still looking quite negative, 89.91. So it had a good sell-off yesterday. It has bounced. We're happy to get 480 yesterday. We did alert to 480 just after it touched through 480. So I think it was at 483, 82.3. So we haven't got a partial exit on that, but something we'll look at again today. It's still looking very negative. I mean, that price structure is still looking negative on Telstra. It could easily just keep rolling over, so we'll follow that. Any questions, guys? Because I'll have to shoot off. I've got somewhere I've got to be just in 5 or 10 minutes. Any questions? Quickly before I go. The market's still, we're down 154, so it is holding. Let's take a quick look at things here. Yeah, so the market, yeah, it's holding those sort of gains. You can see all the gold stocks which bounced really hard yesterday, were up quite strong into the close yesterday, all sold off again today, pretty much apart from Oz Minerals. Oz Minerals just is looking fantastic, really. On a longer term basis, that's a nice little rebound there. So, yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great, Anne-Marie. I'll try to look. I'll try to do a bit more like that. Just talking about my mindset, because I think it's when I was learning from Davin years ago. He was mentoring me. It was always great hearing the way he did things, and it's still comforting just to hear what he says about things. Go, okay, I am normal the way I do things, so it's quite good. FMG. Okay, that was a very highly shortable product. CFD up here at around the $5 mark, and it's just gone on with it. So you can see, you know, sticking to price. There was no, for me, I think we discussed this prior, no reason to be shorting that sort of price action there. You know, the daily's up. It's only into a zone where it could potentially roll over, which it didn't. So I think something to keep in mind. Always, you know, like I discussed with my trades, things that I've been looking at, it's just in the back of your head, trade structure, trade structure, trade structure. I think that's the most important thing. Trade what you see, not what you think, because you second guess yourself. More often than not, you'll probably get hit. So yeah, I think it's a very important point. Anyway, we'll chat about it again more tomorrow. We're going a bit more. Thanks very much for joining us, guys, and I hope we all have a good day, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow. Cheers. Bye-bye.